Yes. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Happy lovely sunshiny Sabbath day.
Sunshine, blue sky.
Sunshine, blue sky. This is an
and
awesome
falling
day.
leaves.
Yes, a happy, great fall day, you know?
Beautiful.
Yeah, y'all look gorgeous today.
Yeah, we are awesome.
And this is Angela Davis.
Yeah, we brought her in. This is not Kathy Muhammad. This is Angela Davis.
Yes, today.
In the house.
In the house. Yay, but welcome. I'm Wyoming.
I'm Linda.
I'm Peg.
I'm Kathy.
And
Angela
you're
Davis.
watching Four Sisters Live.
We're live.
Woo, we are live today, sweetie. Let me tell you something. Welcome. Hey, Facebook, what's up, family?
Yeah.
We have an awesome guest in the house. Two lovely, awesome sisters in the house.
Yeah.
You all should know that we deal with issues. You know, they say, I was thinking about that on the way here, about issues. Sometimes issues is just, it's you.
It's all about you.
I
Huh?
like that.
You. So if you have an issue, deal with you first.
Okay.
Because the issue cannot go away unless you deal with the issue that's
true.
in you.
And you can ish everything.
And
ish everything
you can
away.
just deal with the issue.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. And today we have some things that we are going to discuss. It's going to get really heavy. It's going to get serious.
Yeah.
You know, because this is a serious issue, topic, time that we're living in. But guess what? We're here on Four Sisters Live to deal with these things, to talk about it, to address it, you know, to bring it to the forefront. A lot of people still don't want to be able to express themselves, but we have some ladies here today that's going to free some folks.
And everybody's asking, what is she talking about?
I know, but you got to know that you keep up with what we're doing every month.
That's right.
First Saturdays, we talk about domestic violence.
That's the
Second Saturday, we talk about health and
wellness. Linda.
Third Saturday, we talk about education and mentoring.
Charlene.
And fourth Saturday, we talk about entrepreneurship.
Peg.
And we have our youth involved. We bring in all of the community. We talk about what's going on with our women. What do we need to help each other? We are also Sisters for Sisters Network, Inc.
Right.
Whoop, whoop. And it's head up and founded by this luscious woman here. Miss Peggy.
Hey, nothing but teamwork, honey. This
Baby, I'm telling this lady here, keep us on our toes. She keeps us on our toes, and we love it because we're busy. We got a lot going on. It's coming to the end of the year. Speaking of time of the end of the year, we're celebrating our first year.
Yeah.
Come on.
Congratulations, live. This is our
It felt like 10 years we've been doing this.
Wow. This is a year this month. Can you believe it, Ricky? We've been here. I just got that squeaky chair. I hate it. Anyway.
When you got the chair.
Yeah, it's me today, right? But no, we're a year in, guys. This month we are a year in, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
We've come a long way for 1 year.
Yeah.
We had
And
some
we've done a
awesome
lot.
guests, Unia,
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes.
Jada,
Lakey.
oh, man,
You're
Lakey.
in good company.
We
Right.
have
We've
had
had
some
some
great
awesome
things,
people,
and we got some
awesome
great things in
topics.
store for all
You're
of
gonna
you.
add to that year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are
Yes.
definitely on the right time, the right place where God has us.
That's right.
That's
Absolutely.
he makes no mistakes. He puts you, places you, and when he brings things, he brings people, and everything that he does, he opens doors, he closes doors, he does just what he wants to do. We have to obey
That's
what
right.
God has in store for us.
He's giving
Yeah.
us
And this
everything
is
we
the
need.
time and the day that
Yes.
we're dealing with this issue that we're talking about domestic violence. Yes,
And it's been
we're
going on
talking
since
about
the
it.
beginning of time.
It's been going on a long time.
Forever.
It has been happening
Forever.
for years, and people understand that, oh, it's just happening in the home. No, it's not. It's
No,
happening
it's rolled
more
out
than
of the
home.
home
The
into the
workplace.
streets.
It's happening
street.
more
Yes.
than just in the home.
Oh yeah.
It's happening in other areas, in other places, and people are shocked
Yeah.
to know where, oh, good Lord Jesus, they domestic. Oh, gosh, you went through that? Yes. You don't have to look like what you've been through.
Right.
That's
That's right.
right.
But
That's
trust
right.
me, on the inside, there are scars and bruises that are still there, but you are yet healing.
Right.
You're yet healing.
Every day.
And every
Every
day,
day
every
you're
day.
healing.
It doesn't really go away, but you know how to cope with it. You know how to live with it. You know how to now, come into another realm of your life of accepting where you are.
Right.
But you don't forget where you've come from, what has happened, but you know what? You don't want to relive it.
No, you
For
don't want
sure.
to live.
Yeah.
Ever, never want to relive it. So we're going to be doing something this weekend on tomorrow, Sunday.
tomorrow.
We go by fast.
What's
Yeah.
happening tomorrow?
Like, what's
Tomorrow's
The
tomorrow?
month-
Sunday?
the year's going by.
Yeah, the
Tomorrow,
year's
Friday,
going by.
Saturday.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
What's happening tomorrow?
What's tomorrow?
Sisters
We're going to
helping
address
sisters.
the issue we're going to be doing tomorrow. We
Yeah.
have a nice event tomorrow, Bus Boys and Pools.
Bus
Tomorrow's
Boys
the
and
4th.
Boys.
Tomorrow's
Yeah,
the 4th.
tomorrow's the
Yeah.
4th.
And so we're going to address
calendar
that.
goes by so fast.
The calendar
It's
goes
like,
by so,
if I don't
so
flip
fast.
it, ooh, that's right.
So
Tomorrow is the 4th.
yeah, tomorrow's
Yep.
the 4th. But I want to address a few things because once we get going, I want us to go. I want us to get into
Keep it
it. I
moving.
want to
Yeah.
keep it moving. I want to do some announcements and do what we need to do to talk about what's coming up and who's doing what. There's a lot going on.
What about last week?
There's a lot
Oh,
going
was
on.
last week the retreat?
Yeah, last
Yeah,
week
it was
was
last
retreat,
weekend.
the pajama
Yeah.
party.
Last weekend.
Was
It
it
was
nice?
great. Yes,
So
yes.
nice.
I was there.
Yeah.
Did you
I
go
went-
in your
Yeah.
onesies?
No, I went the first I was comfortable though. But I went the first day. It was like so great. It was excellent. And then some of the speakers were there and they had music. Stephanie's husband, and then another person. His name was Eddie Backus Jr. He was on the tenor sax, and the other
yeah, I
person
saw
was
that
on
on
the
Facebook.
You
It was
had a
like-
good time.
Yeah, that was
On
Friday
that
night.
first day. That
Yeah,
was Friday
that first
night.
night.
Oh,
That
that
was
was
Friday
we,
night.
we
Like, we were
tried.
tried to
We
come,
tried to get
but
there
I
Friday
couldn't
night,
get
there.
but something happened.
Oh yeah,
all I
Friday
can
night.
say.
Something happened.
A whole lot happened.
So that's good.
So I went Saturday.
I was
Okay.
there
Oh, you
went Saturday.
We were there Saturday for the show.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
did
you
that.
were there
The
Saturday for the show.
We were
Right.
there, and Charlene did a couple of
Facebook
really good
Live.
Facebook Live interviews.
Oh yeah, I saw
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, so they were
I
good.
saw
They were
them.
really good, and we had a great time.
I did
Yeah.
too.
Proud of
the
them.
speakers, the
Yeah.
food.
The food was up.
woo,
It was
that's
yeah,
what
that
y'all
food was
did.
good.
They
That
have
was
food.
good.
We'll
It
come.
was great. It was great food.
We'll definitely
great
show up.
fun.
We will be there.
I don't know what happened Sunday. Who was there Sunday? Did you go back Sunday?
I didn't go back Sunday. No.
Okay,
I didn't.
But it was
Saturday
a
good.
weekend
But
full
they said it
of
was
great
It was
beautiful.
something
yeah,
to go to,
activities.
and I'm sure they're
It
going
was
to have
great.
it again.
Oh, I hope so.
It was
I do.
called
I hope
Wigs,
so.
They already
Wigs
claimed
and
it.
Wine.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need
Wigs
to.
and Wine.
Wigs
It was
and wines.
Wigs and
and
Wines.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's right, because they had a specialist there to talk about hair.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
About
I think it was
wigs.
about also to acknowledge
Yeah.
and recognize breast cancer.
Breast cancer,
Yeah.
because
That was
you,
what the
when you
wigs
lose your hair
was
because
for,
of
you know?
treatment.
Right.
Yeah.
And she, I think that's how she started that
Right.
business, and
She did.
that was that demonstration I saw.
It was really
good.
nice.
Well,
Yeah.
congratulations, Stephanie
Stephanie
and Susan.
Yeah, it was
Another
great.
Sisters for Sisters
Network.
Network.
event. It was great.
Well,
It
y'all,
was great.
they be doing it. I'm telling you, don't play
Yeah.
us cheap.
No, don't do that. You'll lose.
Yes.
You'll lose.
Just
And
make sure you
Kate-
got a whole lot of money in your pocket, okay? 'Cause
We
we
got-
be
and
buying
getting
up
more.
tickets
But
and
look,
showing
a
up,
ticket
right?
Each other's
coming,
ticket. It's like,
yeah.
I'll get your ticket if you get my ticket.
The next time.
Exchange.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's
And-
fun to support each
Support
other's
each other.
business.
Kathy, you have the swag,
Yeah, I
right?
have an organization serving women across generations, and it involves, there again, women of all generations, starting from 18 all the way up to 90 or 100. And it's the mission is just to let women know they're not going through things by themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just recently had an event where I had a lot of young female entrepreneurs
That was awesome.
showing other ladies how you can get started in your business. It doesn't matter how old you are.
Each one teach one.
Yeah,
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 you
yeah.
gotta do it. And you have some young
Yeah.
ladies, they are making it happen. They're in their 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these young ladies are putting some of us to shame.
Put to
Really.
shame. That's
They
what,
made
that's what I always
decision
say.
that they're
I
gonna
think
do
put
it.
Don't
us
mess
to
with those
shame.
young ladies.
Right.
Right.
These
I
girls,
tell
but
you.
see, they have no fear
Right.
Yeah.
of going
And
out,
we're
stepping out,
encouraging,
and
right.
making it happen
Yeah.
now.
Encouraging.
There is too much technology and things that are
Right,
at their
technology.
disposal for them
Right.
to get it.
Right.
There aren't any excuses of where I'm gonna get this
Right.
from, or I got to go to
Right.
mom, I got to go to auntie, I got to
No,
go to
they-
this and that. They know how to
They go ahead and
research
make it
So
and
happen.
get
many
this
of them are
things
just
done.
saying no to jobs. They're saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to work on my own
Entrepreneurship, that's what
entrepreneurship.
we're talking
And,
about.
and that's so important for each generation and the generations to come.
Well,
It's
that's
all right to have
why-
a job, but have that business on the
Absolutely,
side.
absolutely.
Too, because
But-
you never know what's going to happen with that business.
But
and
I-
you can carry on
I
that
think that's
job.
why it's really important for all of us to get out
Yes.
and network.
Yes.
Go to the different events, whether it's a Sister for Sister network event.
Make sure they
Right.
come to Sister.
Yeah, always come to that. Always come to that. Or any type of event that's happening, because I'm telling you, you can meet some dynamic
It's
people.
some
Yeah.
wonderful
You know
things.
what?
Telling you.
What?
I just thought about it because I went to an event Thursday, and
Oh,
speaking
you were
of,
telling me about it,
yeah,
yeah.
speaking of mentoring, I went to an international event. You
Oh,
know,
that's
I
even
did my
better.
African ancestry with AfricanAncestry.com.
You did.
And I'm Cameroonian.
Yeah.
So, a young lady named Audrey, I believe her name is, but she has an organization called Jelani Women and Jelani Girls. Jelani
Okay.
means greatness, and she's mentoring young women. What she's doing as they come out of high school, I think it's from 14 on up. She's taking them to Africa.
Oh,
Wow.
my
Oh,
goodness.
this
Oh,
is
wow.
awesome!
That's a
And
good
she
thing.
did
That's a
a she
partnership
did
right
a
there.
head
It is.
wrap and heels on Thursday.
Oh.
And Dr.
that
Page
was
from
nice.
African Ancestry,
Oh, she
because she was
that's right.
Cameroonian, she invited us Cameroonians, and so I'm beginning now to meet so many of my young sisters from Cameroon, originally from the ancestry. But most
Go ahead,
importantly,
Linda.
We're
she's
doing
doing
commercial.
trips, and we're going to
We're doing
have her
commercial.
on our show because
We're
she's
doing
doing
commercial.
trips, and we're sponsoring these ladies to go around the world to Africa and to network and to see how they live. This is what
I
she
love
decided to when she left college.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's
Well, we
awesome.
definitely got to connect with her. 'Cause
Oh, yeah,
with
we're
my
gonna-
experience
yeah,
going to
definitely.
Ghana.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd
about
be great.
five-
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's 5 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an
Oh, my
experience in
goodness.
itself. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Going to
beautiful.
Africa
Take out
is
the
an
fear.
experience.
Take out the fear of going because
Yeah.
it's, war is not happening all over Africa right
No,
now.
it's not.
There's
Right.
some things happening in Cameroon right now, so I can't go to Cameroon.
Yeah.
But in Nigeria and Kenya, Ghana, all those places are so many safe places to go right now.
right
Yeah,
now.
And
right
so
now.
They're
we're
probably
gonna-
safer over there than it is here,
Oh my
right?
Yeah,
goodness.
probably.
No,
There's
you
a
know
lot
what? You
going
don't. You
on.
probably don't have as much negativity in certain areas.
Yeah, but I will tell you this: the people in Africa, they welcome us. They want us to
do.
come.
Yeah.
They're so
They do.
happy when they find out that we're there and where we came from. It's like, oh, you came back home. You came back. So I suggest everyone
Yeah.
save your money,
I'm
Yeah.
saving
maybe
mine.
become a
One-
mentor and
yeah,
help
one
with
time.
the
Yeah.
trip to
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Well,
it's
I just say
experience.
this, and we got to put this out there as just the blurb of commercial. Please vote.
Oh yeah, Woo.
Please vote.
Yeah, vote.
Please vote. It's very important that our young people, especially, vote. Your future lies
future.
right now.
That's right.
I was so impressed with how Oprah, I don't know if y'all saw Oprah
Yeah, I
talked
saw
about
that.
that story of Dr. Moss, of his father didn't get to vote. He walked 18 miles.
18 miles.
And then was denied
Oh, my
on the last
goodness.
mile of the 6 miles he walked.
Ooh.
And each time he did go, he was denied. You're in the wrong district. You're in the wrong district. And this was like 70-something years ago. And this man died the year after when a year later.
Sure did.
A year later, he passed away when he was going to try to go. Then he knew where he was to go, I'm sure, because when he went, he was at the right time, but
Right
it was
time.
closed. He couldn't. He was denied to do it. So
That is so sad.
that was the story which she said and compelled her to go out. Now she said, "This is what makes me, and it's pulls me to go and make it important." So find what that is mission for you to go and vote, young people. Vote Facebook. Tell people
Yes,
to go
please.
and vote. It's important that we do that. So I just want to make sure we put that out.
Yeah, November 6th. November 6th.
That's next Tuesday.
That's right. That's
coming.
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
That's Tuesday.
We'll make it. It's going to make a difference.
That's right.
We will know. So let's do that. Let's make it happen. Also, there is some coat drives going on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this that time.
That time of the year.
You know that we have some coat drives. We have a coat drive coming up with Moshe. You all remember Moshe?
Yeah, yes.
Moshe
yes.
is our in-house musician, and he's such an awesome
A sweetheart.
Yes, yes. And so he's doing a coat drive starting November 12th through December 31st.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh,
so
they
we
got
want
us
to
on here
support.
too.
Yeah, they have us on there as
And
far
the
as
training
sponsoring.
source.
Yes, so
Yeah,
we're
Kim
going to
Wright.
have that up on our hot picks so that each week we're going to be talking about it.
Awesome.
That you all can go and drop off location. There's a drop off location for the coat drive, and we're going to put it up for you guys so you all can know where to go, as well
good.
as Facebook. You all have coats and closets that you have been wearing. Children have coats that you don't need anymore, outgrown the coats or whatever. We're going to do that. Also, Keisha Martin Bernie, she's doing a
Yeah.
coat
Coat
drive
drive.
as well. I think that's December 22nd.
Yeah.
She's
And
doing her coat
Oh,
drive.
and another thing, if you don't have one, go to one of the thrift stores, you know, because especially on Sunday,
Yeah,
they have
just
those
purchase the
price
coat and
slash
then, yeah.
sales.
I think we're going to have a
and just pick up a
drop-off
coat.
spot here at
Yeah.
Star Imports. We're going to
Yeah.
put a box out and have a location for you all to drop your coats off here as well.
great.
We always want to give back, you know. And I met this awesome sister. Talk about Christmas. Like, I am not ready to see anything on Christmas stores, trees, lights, songs on commercials.
Carols.
Just carols. But anyways, it's coming.
Well, they
What,
have-
next
It's coming.
month?
They have to start
Yeah, next
somewhere.
month.
Next month. So here we
Yeah.
are. Christmas show and dance party is happening as well. Anybody remember Paul Porter?
Yeah.
He's going to be a guest here at this Christmas event, WPFW. It's given by Stone Street Entertainment.
Okay.
Stone Street, Dolores Gibbs is the president, and she has some things going on for Christmas. A lot of good gifts and goodies and entertainment. So we're going to have her in the house talk about this because it's
Awesome.
going to be awesome. A lot of good connections. It's about connecting
Can I see
and
the
collaborating. Yes, this one as well. So we want to, and also Black Girls Rock.
Woo, woo. Yes.
They're having something today, but I didn't get the information, Black Girls Rock. You didn't tell me where you're going and what's happening, so I'm just telling you. I'm saying something about it. But anyway, December 15th, they're having something
Tell them to
as
call
well.
in. Call in.
Well, yeah.
Let us
We
know.
just need to know where you are.
Where
if you're
are
out
you?
today, because what
Yeah.
they're doing is community effort, and they're out in the street, and they're
street.
making
Okay.
and giving out away possible food, you know, for those women and children who are in need. So if they're out today, I don't know the location, but I know they're out today. They're going to be out December 15th as well. So we'll give you more information. We'll keep you locked in as to what's going on. We just want to put it out there, let you all know we do support you, and we support the community, and we thank you for this reciprocal for supporting us on Four Sisters Live. Okay, so I think I got all of the preliminaries out of the way. Anybody have any more announcements?
Well, I just want to let you all know, I'm telling you guys, try to make it out to the it's called the Cinetic Theater. And it's in, it's in,
Virginia.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's in
that's
Crystal-
nice, yes.
Let me tell-
Alexandria?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it would be Arlington. What they
Oh,
call it,
well,
but it's Crystal
yeah,
City.
yeah.
No,
Right,
that's
right,
Alexandria.
in that area, yeah, right,
Crystal
but it's
City.
nice,
It's right,
yes.
it's right next to the Marriott
Yes,
Hotel there,
yes.
Right.
on Bell Street. Bell. That's,
Yeah.
So just a reminder on that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was going to tell you that I'm telling you, it was so great. No sound, just music and movement.
Movement.
It
Yeah.
is.
Kidding.
It's
Peaceful.
wonderful.
I've seen them
Yes.
before. They're
Oh, you've seen it
awesome.
before? Oh, it's awesome.
Awesome.
It's
It's
awesome.
spelled
Awesome.
S-Y.
Yeah, SYNTHEITIC, I believe. It's the Synetic, which means movement. Synetic theater. It's wonderful. If you all haven't, try to get an opportunity to go because it's different. It was not singing, you know, no dialogue, but you get the story.
Right, you read
just from the movement.
Just from the movement.
Oh yeah,
read
they
the
awesome.
movement.
Yes.
They're awesome.
And it's something
It's
different.
like mime
Yeah.
and praise dancing put together,
Wow.
and you just they're interpreting the story through
Yes,
their bodies.
through their bodies.
Yeah,
It's
Wow.
great.
It's awesome.
So try
So-
to make it on out there.
This Kathy here, this woman is all.
Love her.
I think I'm all over the
Love
place, but
Kathy
this one
Muhammad.
is
Yes.
it.
She does a lot. She
Yeah.
goes.
Does a lot.
She's full of
Yeah.
knowledge,
She's supposed to
information.
do.
and
Thank you.
information
Resources.
is
You're
powerful.
retired.
She's not
You're
wearing
supposed
that bush for nothing. You're
supposed to be right there.
walking. That
Yeah.
sister's a sister.
But you gotta, I'm telling you, everybody, you have to get, it's so much fun out
But it's
there.
fun out
Yeah.
there. You're
Yeah,
right. You're
it
right.
is.
It is entertainment.
Good
We
stuff.
need that.
And it's a lot free, especially in this.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
free,
So
a
much
lot
is
free,
free.
or you know, discounted, you know, that type thing. Oh, telephone.
We have a
Maybe
call.
that's-
Somebody that maybe you told somebody to call.
Maybe it's
But
the
hold
sisters.
on, caller. Just one moment. We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to be back. So hold on, and I want to say this before we go on commercial break. We must continue to say our prayers for the loss in the family in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the synagogue.
The synagogue.
Massacre.
those
So, you know,
people.
we have to pray for one another. I mean, we're just not here by ourselves.
No.
But there is a lot of other things and people and families that are being affected by this situation every day. So we always want to acknowledge that here on Four Sisters Live, that we keep families in prayer during these tragic times and whatever is going on. We wanted to say our hearts and our prayers definitely go out for the families there. So are we ready for a commercial, Mr. Ron?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's make it happen. We'll be right back.
Right
We have
back.
two guests we want to introduce you to, but we'll be right back. I have my
Okay, good. Hi. How you doing? Can I just get some water out of that case there? Oh, can I get one? Oh, okay. Hey, you said you was going to send the pictures from that night, but you never. Because I said you. Oh. Yeah, but you said, oh, they're coming. Well, okay. You know, yeah, stuff happens. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking for him. It's like, Dad. Yeah, I'll give him my email.
Never forsaking, just understanding. Ain't that what families are made of?
Here you go. You can just send it right to that email right there. Okay.
What may come or go, no matter we stick together, and it shows. This bond between us, foundation is trust. Yes, it is. Family's all about, yeah. Let's stay real close, sticking real close, giving each other, letting love come.
Is enough for him?
Always sisters, always friends. You really gotta learn to love each other. I need to stick real close. There's no way that we can live without each other. So why do we try? Why do we try? I wanna know why. Always sisters.
best. Praise
How y'all want them?
Straight.
God. We're
Straight.
back.
Oh.
We're back. We have some lovely things here. Purple representing.
Yeah.
Yay! Woo! Yes, yes, yes. As we said earlier, talking about this subject that is near and dear to me because I had the opportunity, rather, to do a couple of times my production on Then Sings My Soul. And Then Sings My Soul is a musical on domestic violence. And it talks about many areas from the courthouse to the church house to the jailhouse. And it represents areas where many people would not identify that it's real, but it happens.
Yes.
It really does happen. And because I was connected to so many good people, God just put these people in my life and others who I'm so grateful for that I can't even begin to start naming them. But I'm so grateful that they came in my life to help me put the production together, behind the scenes, in front of the scene, and all the things that it takes to put that together brought the attention to God saying, you're not alone.
Exactly.
And so and I'm telling you, from the entertainment industry, from the most common person that you would think of, from anyone who's even an attorney, it doesn't even matter your status in life. Domestic violence doesn't even clarify who you are. It just happens.
Right.
It is a demonic demon, and it strikes. It doesn't matter color or anything.
That's
it has
right.
no, it's not discriminated against that in that respect. And so because of that, he has us on a path of movement, a mission. This is a movement. Since then, we've had the Me Too movement. We got the Count Me In movement. We got women organizations talking about domestic violence from across the globe. It's happening. So today, on First Saturdays, we do address it. We invite our lovely guests to come in, and women who want to deal with it. Let's also say that it's women not only dealing with, men are as well.
Yes. Right.
Men are being abused as well. And so we're going to be getting into, I spoke with someone, in fact, Jennifer Foxworthy is going, she's in a training now, intercession type of training, talking about domestic violence, and it's a lot of men there.
Wow.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
She said, girl, there's a lot of men in here talking about how they were abused. So we're going to get into that at some point in the future to have
love
them
it.
come in.
Yeah.
So we
That'd
can
be
see the
nice,
diversity in that, you know, so we can understand how that also operates from their perspective.
Right, right.
Absolutely, from their perspective. But today, we have a young lady, and to talk about age, we're talking about it doesn't discriminate age. We have an age group that actually is different here today. It's the wide spectrum of age. It's to let you know when you hear the story and understand the difference in age, but they still battling the same issue.
Exactly.
Different age, battling the same issue.
Yeah.
So we're going to dig in deep into this today. We're going to have conversations with our ladies. But first, I believe we have a caller on. Who's calling? Do we still have the caller? Okay. If you could call back, apologize. We're just trying to move things along here, and so we welcome your call. But I want these ladies to be able to share their story however they choose. There is no pre-questions. We want you to speak from your heart and say what's on your mind so that we can understand your struggle or your things that has happened or things that you've overcome that you've been dealing with. But we want to be able to hear you and love you and love up on you for being here. She's so dark and chocolate. She's so pretty. She is so pretty. But let me introduce, this is Jada Casey. She's 27 years old. She's a mother of a beautiful young lady named Naya. And she founded her own organization, domestic violence organization, at 27 years old. I don't know how long. You can tell us how long you've had the organization. However, it's called Why Me? And I know we've asked that question many
Exactly.
times.
Yeah,
Why
many
me?
different
She
things.
spent much of her time trying to find purpose and finally is free and open now to share. And she's here to share that with us. And she has, she says, I am many things, but most important is I'm a survivor.
Oh.
I survived a very toxic relationship over the course of about 7 years. I started Why Me so that I can share my story as well as be a resource to victims, supporters, and abusers. Why Me is an organization that teaches supporters proper ways to provide help when needed. It also teaches abusers to see the damage they've done to others and teach the victims how to seek help and remove themselves from the toxic. Relationships, ultimately the goal for the Why Me organization is to raise awareness in the urban communities and provide assistance where it's needed. In doing so together as a whole, we'll be able to express, empower, and encourage the next person to break the silence of domestic violence.
Wow.
We give you
Yes.
kudos, my sister,
Yeah.
for starting
Yeah.
this organization, and you verbalize it so well on paper what your mission and your purpose is.
Thank you.
So thanks for
Beautiful.
coming. So give us some information. Tell us what you want us to know.
This is actually a brand new organization. It just happened. All year I've been trying to find my purpose, and just so happened a phone conversation that took place in September, and I'm on the phone with one of my friends, and she's like, I'm so depressed and stressed out because she has a lot of things going on. And I told her, like, everything is set up to where as though she doesn't even need, to be depressed or feeling down or doubting herself, because she actually just finished nursing school. And that's something major.
Exactly.
So actually the conversation took place, and when she said to me, well, you made it look so good. You went from McDonald's to JCPenney's and then to a government job. I said, sweetie, you don't know what I've been through. I made it look so good, but I had to protect my image. I had a newborn baby at the time. She was only 1, and I'm in this relationship just head over heels. I'm just trying to find out, how to get out of this. It started really fresh. 7 years, it wasn't all bad, but the last 3 years were the worst. I felt like I was being tortured. And
In what way did you feel tortured? Express, or if you can, what did you mean by torture?
The actions, as far as physical,
Behavior.
Okay.
Yeah.
verbal, financial. It was the worst thing I have ever experienced, and it was so scary. And of course, I had family members that would be there, to take my phone calls and, oh, it's gonna be okay, to show me that sympathy and, protect me. But it was very scary, and just to protect myself and his image and my daughter, of course. I tried to stay away and cover everything up. I was really isolated. Like he isolated me from a lot of my family and friends.
members, yeah.
Right.
And so this was about a control
It
relationship.
was very controlling, very controlling. Even till about last year sometime, it was still a control thing. And I had to break free from it. I did have a tragedy happen where I lost my grandfather. This was my best friend. And he would always push me to go to church. And of course, I would say, well, Granddad, I'm going to work. I have to provide and I have to do this. And he would say, well, you need to take time out on Sundays.
Yeah.
That is for the Lord. And I was like, well, yeah, you're right. So it took for me to lose something that was so, dear to me. And even my daughter. It took for that to happen for me to realize, look, Sundays, you're not going to work. You are going to church. And I actually found my church home at Zion Church, located in Landover. That's where I worship every Sunday. And I've been there all year, trying to find my purpose and taking in everything the pastor was saying. And it has helped me so much. So now I'm ready to speak. My organization actually just took flight. Last Saturday, I had the expression session.
Awesome.
And it was just a time, a 4-hour frame for women. It was a women's event. Just for us to come together and support one another and love on each other, and telling
that's
our
what's in
stories.
need. Yes.
Because we
yes.
need that.
Yeah,
Some of
you
us
need
don't
that.
have that outlet to go to
Right.
when, experiencing something that traumatic,
Right, exactly.
And then all of us having children as well, speaking just for my friends, because I have close friends who's been in these toxic relationships. So
So I want to ask you, you say you have friends because you're only 27.
I am.
So your friends are around your age,
Right.
experiencing domestic violence.
Right.
Wow.
And it's starting early, maybe
Yeah,
21.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. It started
Also, one
earlier.
of my closest friends would have to be my sister. She's actually 22, and she experienced some things also. And actually, just to clarify everything, my bio, because my sister is a writer, or she's, an up-and-coming writer, I told her, I gave her a mission. I said, look, you write this bio for me. And she did exactly
And
that.
beautiful.
And she did a
Did
great
exactly that. I
job.
actually
Yeah.
have some gifts, and it's a poem in there that she has handwritten. And I just got them copied so everyone will receive a gift.
Oh,
You
okay.
a dog
Thank you for
baby.
bringing it. We receive it. So my thing about this, in respect to young ladies, can you tell us what draw you to that? What is it that gives you all that mindset, that type of spirit that draws that to young people? Is it something that they out trying to think they're looking for love, all in the wrong places?
Right. The common thing would have to be, you're fresh out of high school, because most of the time it starts about 17, 18, and you want that high school sweetheart love, So when you find that person and you start, giving yourself to them, they become controlling sometimes, and not knowing that it's not something that you should be looking for. You just continue to pursue until that one thing happens. And mind you, it might be, a couple signs before, everything happened, thinking, oh, well, he loves me. He's not going to do that to me. But you saw him, and I mean, you really saw him do this to multiple people.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So that's pretty much what has happened in my situation. I sat back and I watched him do this to someone else, but I looked at it like, at the time I'm pregnant, and he wouldn't do that to me. I'm carrying this child. He wouldn't do this to me. And right after I had my daughter, World War III.
Wow.
World War III. It's happened to my friends while pregnant. So I know for a fact it's the feeling of being wine and dine in the beginning. And you fall in love with the person, and then after you get comfortable, once you become comfortable with the person, all the guards are let down, and you just feel, at that time vulnerable. And it just all
And they
unravels.
threaten you.
They do. They do.
There's a threat involved. And girls sometimes are afraid to leave a relationship
Right.
based on what has been said to them
Right.
and how they feeling at that moment, because they may not have anyone to go to, because they may be protecting someone.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Because they won't say anything, they're fearful for protecting whatever they're being threatened from or whom they're being threatened by. So you're right in a position where you need to know who I need to live. I want to live, because they definitely are between living and dying, just like that.
Right.
That's true.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Well,
You're right.
what happened, Jada, to make you? What was the final straw that brought the camel's back? That said, I don't want to deal with the fear. I don't want to deal with this man anymore. I need to go. What happened?
I was getting off work, and my daughter was with her dad, and I came home, and I could tell by the way the week, sometimes you could just tell the person's energy throughout
Yeah.
the week. I came home from work, and I had a bag packed, and I just knew I was going to my mom's house for the weekend. It was just already set in stone. Everybody knows I'm coming over. And when he came home, he was upset, and I called one of my friends, and I said, well, look, girl, if I call your phone and I say, come over here, will you? And she said, yeah. I said, you know what, I won't even call you to say come here. I said, just come to my house, because all in fear of him, realizing that I might be leaving, or just coming in the house and he's full of rage. And like I said, World War III all over again. I tried talking to him, but ultimately I let him know, look, I'm going to my mom's house this weekend. And right before I called my friend, she was calling my phone back to back. And once she didn't get an answer, she came and she knocked on my door. So I already knew, like, my help is right there at the door. I'm leaving tonight. And I didn't leave, freely. He pushed me out. He actually saw that I was grabbing my daughter, and she was just like, no, you don't take your daughter, let me grab her. She grabbed her by the hand, and he went and swung and hit me in my mouth and put a hole in my mouth to where I had to get stitches. And that was the last. That was the last.
So my
and my daughter
question,
had to watch it.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
The children
The
are being
kids are
affected. Are
traumatized.
watching this, and it
Yep.
sticks with them.
Right.
And then you have kids, Mommy, why did he do that? You get questions from your children. The little ones are asking because they're trying to figure out, is this normal?
Right.
Yeah.
In their
Is
eyes,
this
it is normal
Yeah.
because that's all they know.
All they
Right.
know,
So
exactly.
you have to deal with it.
Especially at a young age,
Yes,
growing up in the
yes.
house where you see mom and
It'll be
dad, and
repeated.
typically, right, it's an argument and maybe a fight. So I didn't want her to grow up and think that it was okay.
Right.
Right.
It's true.
Okay. Because at this point, young, older adults, and our sister Unil probably is going to speak on this as well. When you're in a situation that is so detrimental to your life, get out.
Right.
Get out.
Right.
Get out.
Run.
Right.
And
Find
don't
a
look
way
back.
and don't
And don't
look
look
back. You may have to find an escape without them even knowing you're going to escape, because you can't tell them everything.
Right.
You can't give them all your plans. I'm going to be leaving you tomorrow.
Right. Right.
You may not make it to tomorrow if you let them know that.
Yeah,
You
giving them
can't
too much
tell them.
information.
It's too much information.
Yeah.
And girls, I feel sometimes you get in places, and as we talk about the men that are affected, we have women who are bullies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
For whatever reason their life has been and what caused them to become a bully, they're going to stand up to a man and they want to let them know, you're not going to, I'm this and you're that. And most men may not believe in hitting a woman.
They don't.
Right.
But if you're putting your hands on them, now who's wrong?
Right, exactly.
And we have the upper hand, ladies, as who we are in this society, because when the police come, who they going to look at first?
Right, they're gonna look.
They're going to look at him.
Look at him.
Because they
Exactly.
can't believe a woman. You let this
Right.
woman, he beat me to that. So it's so much to this. It's so many
it's a
things
lot.
when you're in a relationship from the court system on about what's going on. Did you ever have to call the police?
Multiple times. Actually, yesterday I was in court and we actually came to an agreement to just have joint legal custody. So I have physical custody and he has visitation. And in doing so, they pulled those records so fast because it was already a report with domestic violence written on it. So they grabbed it and they said, look, we have to get to this fast. And the police probably was called maybe 10 times. And every time they would look at him. And not saying that I didn't fight that night, but typically it was him, you know, me just trying to get away. And some of the times it happened where my sisters or my mom would be present and they were putting him in handcuffs every single time. Every
But then
single
they
time.
would let him out.
Right.
And
So it
you'll
would be
come
like
back.
an overnight thing. Yeah. And at that time we lived together. So
Wow,
You
that's
know.
even.
So it's even
Harder,
more, it's
yeah.
harder. So I want to bring on our other sister, Unil. We're going to take a quick break. We want her to come on and begin to start speaking about some of the things. I want you all to listen up because her life is it's so amazing. I'll get into a little more particulars about our sister here, but it's just so, I don't know, it's just something that we can do. You feel hopeless or helpless sometimes about this. This is why tomorrow we're asking you all to bring your young girls. If you know any young girls who want to come out to Bus Boys and Ports tomorrow, bring them. We're
Yeah.
beginning to start, and you'll be there
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good,
she's coming. We have a couple of other
which
Bus
Bus
Boys
Boys?
and Ports in
Hyattsville.
Hyattsville, Maryland. If anyone know of a young girl that want to come and be a part of this, we're going to do a gathering, if we call it a sisters gathering, and talk to our young girls and sit and meet and greet and eat and have some dialogue. And it's going to be at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. tomorrow, the 4th, at Bus Boys and Ports in Hyattsville, Maryland. Peg, along with myself, Sisters for Sisters Network, For Sisters Live, we're coming together to try to start making a change and a difference in our young
Yeah,
girls
yeah.
and teaching them and showing them as we as adults, we should feel responsible for us to give back to them. You want to say something?
You know, I was just thinking about ages and time and whatever. I applaud these young girls because they're getting smart enough to voice their opinion,
Yeah.
voice what is happening in their lives. When back in the day, my mother was too afraid to even have a conversation. We didn't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So I have to applaud you for stepping up and taking the lead because it's your life. And you're protecting you and your daughter.
That's right.
And you have to do it because if not, who is?
right.
Who's going to do it for you? And back in the day, we had no place to go. There was no shelter. There was nowhere to run. And so my mother had to deal with it. So again, I applaud you for stepping up and taking the lead and making it happen.
And informing other young ladies.
Yeah,
most importantly,
giving them the-
you know,
Yeah.
the
we
the
have to
energy and the
support
power.
each other because there's so many who will not come out
Right.
unless someone brings them out.
Yeah.
It helps
Very
them, let
hard.
them know it's okay.
I know it's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, it's
I'm
hard. It's
sure.
very hard.
And that's why
Yeah.
we are compelled and we feel in our hearts that we
Yeah.
want to do this. You know, we have to start somewhere.
Right.
And this is why we want to start at one of our missions tomorrow.
Yeah.
And again, Busboys and Poets. And you want to, if you know
Address.
someone, 5331 Baltimore Avenue, Hyattsville, Maryland.
Okay.
Busboys and Poets.
Right.
If you want to come, if you know anyone, if you want to invite as well, just hit us up on Facebook, inbox any one of us. You can inbox me, Peggy Morris, or Linda Powell, and just say, I have a young lady or I would like to attend, and we'll send you more of the information.
Awesome.
We're going to come back with Unia Pettis, and she is going to give us some more information on this domestic violence area of our segment. We'll be right back.
All right.
Hello, my name is Keisha Martin Burney with the Martin Burney Group at REMAX Realty Center in Albany, Maryland. We have been licensed for over 17 years in the DMV. Whether you're looking to purchase, sell, or invest in a home, we have an excellent team of realtors who can assist you with all of your real estate needs. You can contact us at themartinburneygroup.com. On social media, Facebook and Instagram, themartinburneygroup.com. You can also give us a call at 240-398-0173. Once again, 240-398-0173. And remember, everything that we touch turns to sold.
Always sisters, always friends. Let's stay real close till the end. Forgiving each other, wearing love color. Always sisters, always friends. We have to live in harmony, even though we may disagree. 'Cause fighting each other is not the answer. Sharing the grace. Let's be rich with peace and love. Letting compassion from above. Never forsaking, just understanding. Ain't that what families are made of? No matter what may come or go, we stick together and it shows. This bond between us, foundation is trust. That's what yes, it is. Family's all about, yeah. Always sisters, always. Let's stay real close. Sticking real close, sticking real close, giving each other.
Hello, we're back, we're back.
Yes, yes.
Woo, thank you, Jada. Where did Jada? Oh, here you go. Thank you, Jada, so much. for
Yay,
sharing
Jada.
your story. Yes, absolutely.
Good for you, Jada.
Oh my God, this sister we have here, she has so much.
She needs a
Her
whole
bio,
hour.
her bio. Yeah, we're going to take her in because you all know we have conversation continue, and we're going to have her into our next conversation of part 2, Sister Unia. But I want her to begin to speak on and introduce herself because she has a lot. She's like She's a radio host. She's a TV host. She's an organizer. She does a lot of things. She's a doctor. She's just a lot. She's just been doing a lot of things.
She's my soror.
I met my sister here through Jennifer Foxworthy at a women's convention in Baltimore.
Yes.
When I heard her story that she presented, because most of the presenters there had a chance to give their speech and on the stage and talk about who they were and their life and what they're doing business wise and otherwise.
Right.
And you got up there and you spoke about some things that you're doing in your mission and your ministry, but also you talked about your domestic violence story.
Yes.
My ears went bing, okay. And I sat there in awe. I was mesmerized. I was just so taken aback by her story, and what made it so interesting, her story was close to the role that I have in the play.
Wow.
The
I
women,
know.
the church role, right?
Yeah.
And I told her that. I said, God, what are you doing? He's letting you see that it happens even in the church.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you weren't far off, because I felt strange about putting that in there in the script. But he said, no, you keep it there because it's real.
It's real.
And when I saw her, you encouraged me so much to confirm that I was on the right track.
Absolutely.
That's all that was, confirmation from God. So tell us what's going on, because you were just awesome.
Yes.
Well, first of all, thank you, ladies, the four ladies,
Thank you for the
Four
patience.
Sisters Live, for allowing me to be a part of this platform. I'm a fan, I'm a supporter, and I love when Black women come together, because there's a myth out there that we don't work together, we
Yeah,
don't
that's
support
true.
one another, and that's a lie.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
My name is Reverend Dr. Unia Pettis, and I give honor first to God, my Lord and Savior. I'm the founder of Nobody But God Ministries, and this is my book, Nobody But God, A Journey of Faith from Tears to Triumph. This is my spiritual memoir that started in 2007. And I didn't want to do this, Wyoming, because it was my secret.
Yeah,
And I didn't want
yeah.
anybody to know my secret.
Nobody.
Right.
But God had another plan. And he said, you are going to tell your story because it's going to free others.
Yes.
So just briefly, I was engaged start dating at 27, a young man that I had worked with. I didn't know he liked me, but I didn't date coworkers. You know the rule. You don't do that.
Right.
So after I lost my job because the person I was working as a spokesperson for, she was a politician, and she lost her election. So I lost my job, and there was like a little after party. And my girlfriend says, he has a crush on you. And he wanted to walk me home because I live nearby. Girl, I was thinking about getting another job, my resume, my bills. I was not thinking about going on a date or anything like that. But he was a minister, and I'm saved. And so I said, okay, he can walk me home. So we went out on one date, and it was great. The second date, he stood me up, I thought. But what really happened, he passed out in the pulpit, and he had renal failure.
Oh, wow.
So the girlfriend who had introduced us called and said, have you heard from X? And I said, no. In fact, I'm about to put off my clothes, girl. He stood me up. She said, no. He was in the pulpit, passed out. Now he's in the ER. And she said, can I come by and get you? I said, sure. So I go into the ER. I'm not family. I'm not friend. I didn't know how to get back there. His family's hours away. So she said, well, she's a minister. I said, can I go pray with them? So the doctors let me go back. He was in complete renal failure, very sick. And I whispered in his ear, so if this is your way of getting out of a second date, you are surely mistaken. And a tear ran down his eye. And I stood with him and stayed there with him for almost a week and a half. And just said, I don't know why, but I feel like I have to stay here and pray with you. And we started dating shortly thereafter. After 2 years, he proposed, we got engaged. I was 29, had the best wedding ever. It was huge. Everybody was there. And it was going well. He treated me wonderfully. And I want people to understand this. There were no red signs. He never spoke out of my name. He never disrespected me. My mother always said, judge a guy by how he treats his mother and
Right.
his sisters.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He
that's
loved
right.
his mother. He was a mother's boy. He loved his sister. He was very attentive. And he was a preacher, going up to be a pastor. So you can't always guess or know who is
Exactly.
going to really be an abuser. So I want you to hear, because everybody thinks there are signs. Sometimes there are no signs because the devil is going to deceive you.
Right.
And he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And a part of the deceitfulness is they don't really show you who they are until they show you
They
who
really
they
show
are.
you
Really
who
show
they
you.
are.
Right.
So in this particular case, he showed me on our wedding night. I come up in the suite, huge wedding. I had a wedding party of 48. Y'all know that's too much, but I'm an only child. Work with me. I'm only going to do it once, so I did it right. And so I come into the room, and he said, "You look like a piece of it." It rhymes with it, but it starts with S. He never cursed me a day in my life. He said, "Did you wear that dress for everybody else's attention, or did you wear it for mine?" Now, let me be clear, because I knew I was marrying a pastor. The collar was up to here. I had long sleeves on, and it was appropriate, right?
Right.
So he locked me out the honeymoon suite. All my family and everybody's in the hotel. I run downstairs in my wedding gown. I go to the front desk, and I said, me and my husband just had an argument. She's looking at me like, you just got married. I'm in the bridal outfit. I said, can I just get another room? I just want to get another room. She gave me another room. I called him, and he said, be ready at 7 o'clock. Because he was so controlling that we were going to go to church the next morning at 7 o'clock, early service. So he let me back in the suite about 5 that morning. That whole night in my suite, I laid in my wedding dress on the floor crying. I kept calling his room. He hung up every time I called. And so he said, be here in time for church. I go in, I change, we go to church. The pastor at the church, he has a stand-up saying it was the most beautiful wedding he'd ever seen. He cried when he did his vows. I cried when I did mine. It's a huge wedding. All he did was talk about how wonderful everything was. And I knew in the back of my mind, my first night, I didn't even stay with my husband in the same hotel. So that's when I made my first mistake. Because I should have realized if a person is going to kick you out of your honeymoon suite, it's only
Day
going to get
one.
worse from
Right.
here.
Yes.
What he did tell me after church was, now you're my property. Wives are be to submissive to their husbands as Christ is to the church. So
Using
he
the
used
biblical
the
piece.
Bible.
The biblical
Always.
Bible, right,
And how
okay.
do you fight with the Bible?
Right, exactly.
And so he used the Bible, and he just kept telling me everything was my fault. So it was emotional and verbal for the first 2 years. Then he started cheating. I found out because the people he was cheating with were bold enough to come join our church or to come up and tell me because it was a humiliation tactic. Again, he's the pastor. By this time, I'm sitting in the pews next to him, right beside him, preaching. I'm preaching, delivering service. If I preach too good on a certain Sunday, he beats me on the way home. He beats me in the Baptist. He beats me in the back. He's like, oh, you got more amens than I got. Anybody who knows me know I'm very charismatic. I can speak, I can teach, I can preach. And he just tried to beat all of it out of me. But God is so amazing that even when you're down to your lowest, and even though I never told anybody, not even my mother or anyone, God allowed me to have a resilience in me to say, one day this is going to change. But I thought prayer and fasting and anointing and putting oil and all that was going to do change. The change had to be made in me.
Within you.
The change is not going to happen in the person you're with unless they want to change. So, young lady, I don't care how cute you are, how gorgeous you are, how shapely you are. If the man treats you wrong the first time, if he speaks to you out of your name, if he treats you emotionally like he isolates you, or he tells you he doesn't want you to wear certain things, don't hang with your friends, don't talk to your mother anymore.
Those are the signs.
These are all signs. And so there are 5 I's and 5 F's I want to share before we go to the break, because this can save somebody's life.
Right.
The first one is isolation. They will isolate you from everyone. I thought this was cute because we were so much in love. He just wanted to be with me all the time. Didn't know that that was a trick. The second is intimidation. When I was in the marriage, he said, if you leave me, I'll lose the church. If you leave me, our reputations will never get anything else. If you leave me, I'll hurt your mom, I'll hurt your grandma. He was just threatening my relatives. So I stayed to protect family members and myself. Because they threaten, even your pets and animals, they threaten whatever you care about. They'll say they're going to hurt that. The next is interrogation. This, too, was something my girlfriends were jealous of. Every time I went somewhere, they'd call me when you get there. He'd check on me while I was there and tell me when you're coming back. My girlfriend's like, ooh, girl, I want a man like that. You got the best husband in the world because he says all the right things from the pulpit and he treats me, gives me roses and flowers. They didn't understand he was tracking me.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to know where I was at all times, because he wanted to know who I'm with, what I'm doing, what I'm wearing. And so that interrogation, that's a trick. And that's a sign that you should worry about. The next is the rationalization. He said, if you don't drop out of your doctoral program, you're not going to serve me as my wife, because I'm a black man that doesn't have my master's. And if you get your doctorate, you're going to think you're better than me.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
he literally told me, I'm going to kill you until you drop out of your PhD program. And I didn't. So now we're about to go to break, and I'm going to give you the last I.
No, you keep going.
Oh,
we
I
got
can keep
to.
going?
Oh, yeah. you
Okay,
keep
all right,
going.
because I'm
No,
trying
we
to
gotta
save
go
a
to
life.
break.
Yeah,
You got to go
yeah,
to break.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you the last I. It's called the incident of escalated abuse. That's when they do that one thing that they've never done before. Jada talked about how she had the police called over and over again, 10 times. They'll do that one thing, and Jada can be a witness. Their tone will be different that one time that you know this is the time you're going to get it. You're going to get shot, stabbed, killed, whatever. They change, their countenance even changes. It's almost like you're looking at a devil, because you don't recognize the man you fell in love with.
Wow.
And now we can go to break.
Good
Take a
Lord
deep
Jesus.
breath.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the deal. We're speaking of time. So we're going to break. Yep,
For a
we're
second,
going to
and
break.
bring this
We're
right
gonna
on back.
To
Keep
be
it come on
continued.
back, because this is going to be to be continued.
Yes.
You know how we do it. We always go, it's time for you to live in your purpose and prosperity. Well, we're going to do that later,
Yeah.
because you have something that we need to continue to do.
Yeah,
Right.
you do.
No, you do.
Praise
She haven't even gotten to the meat of it.
No.
Oh, I already sensed that.
Oh yeah, she got some more to tell about this one. Okay, so we're gonna take a break. We got a few things we want to do, and we're going to have. Love you too, girl. We appreciate you for sharing.
Yeah.
We're gonna come back off of this break, and we're gonna continue with our next guest.
Yes,
but we
bring-
want you
bring
to
them
stay.
in.
Bring them
Stay
in.
right
You
where
stay
you are.
right where you are, and we're gonna bring our other guests coming in for our part 2. But this is a continuation
conversation,
of
yeah.
Four Sisters Live.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. Facebook, if you can hang out. We have Unia Pettis
Yeah.
with us on our platform.
Yeah.
And she
Praise
is
be to God.
Dr.
Praise be to
Unia
God.
Pettis.
Pettis.
Thank you so much, sweetheart, and we'll be right back.
Right back.
All right.
Yes. Can you, okay, go get our guest.
Always sisters, always friends. Let's stay real close till the end. Forgiving each other Always sisters, always friends. Let's stay real close till the end. Forgiving each other, letting love cover. Always sisters, always friends. We have to live in harmony, even though we may disagree. 'Cause fighting each other is not the answer.
I want you to pick up where we left off. All right. We have to get back. Part two, but we're keeping this thing rolling because we have some awesome sisters in the house.
And she's limited on time. So
And
we
she's
gotta be
limited
mindful
on
of that.
time.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we want to do, we're going to let you go because I know you have some things you need to
Yeah.
do. We're going to switch it around. Introduce
She
her,
has a
Peg, and
mic.
let us know. She has a mic.
Okay. Hello, I'm Latoya Johnson, and I'm a survivor. I'm a domestic violence survivor. I am a rape survivor. I'm a molested survivor. But most importantly, I am a gunshot wound survivor. I was shot in the head 11 years ago. So, well,
Are you serious?
yes, ma'am.
I mean, just look at her. You would never have a thought. You're
So,
simply
yeah.
gorgeous.
Thank you.
Go ahead and continue your story. I'm sorry.
No problem. Cause I
Can
get
you
that,
mind telling us your age?
Yes.
She said yes.
I'm 37. I'll be
Oh, my
38
God.
this January, and I'll be 11 years old May 8th, 07. Because May 8th. I celebrate that day as my birthday.
Right, that's why I think I wanted to ask you in terms of the association of how young were you in that time. Yeah, okay.
I
go
was
ahead.
26. 26.
26. Wow.
26.
Go ahead.
I thought you had a question. First of all, I was a hairstylist at the age of 26. I was a successful hairstylist. I was doing celebrity clientele. I was on top of my game. I was about to move to New York and do fashion shows and just take off. But I was dating this guy. We've been dating for like a year, almost 2 years. And then he relapsed on PCP. If you know, everybody should know that drug. That is a dangerous drug. That drug has many names, and it's a drug it's a chemical that's used in autopsy. So I'm not sure why anybody would want to, continuously put that poison in their body. But that was his choice of drugs. So when he would get high, he was a different person. He was like a monster. One day I went to go pick him up, and he was high out of his mind, and he was like, "Boo! Watch out for the car. Watch out for somebody gonna roll up and start shooting at us. Roll your window down and push your seat all the way back." And I'm looking around like, "What?" He's like really like hysterical, like loud.
Being high off of
high off of drugs, PCP. So then I didn't take him seriously. So he started banging on the dashboard. So because he realized I wasn't taking him seriously. So he started to scare me. So I rolled the window down and I pushed my seat so far back that my feet was barely touching the pedals. But I did as he said, because I didn't want, because I was driving. I was driving like on a parkway, like Pennsylvania Avenue. So that was one incident. And then, he would have his little moments, but it wasn't nothing too physical. It was verbal. We were getting arguments, but it was nothing too serious. And then one day, we was having a disagreement, and all of a sudden, I was on the floor. Like, I didn't feel any pain. Like, I didn't feel a hit. I just knew I was on the floor, and I was holding my lip. And then when I let go, it was like blood just started gushing out. Like somebody turned on the faucet. Like. And at that moment, and we was in the basement of my house, and my parents was upstairs, and at that moment, I was like shocked. And then he just looked at me. He was like, "You should have gave me what I asked for." And then he laughed because we was arguing about money. And then I was shocked, so I didn't know what to do. I got a towel, and I left out the back door and went to my friend's house. So we made up this story and everything, and, she bandaged me up. She told me what to get. I got this super glue Band-Aid. So, it was a bruise, but it didn't look as bad. So we came up with this story that, people believe because it was believable. So another incident, I was driving him to his interview, and we was talking about having kids, and then all of a sudden I would say, I was like, I'm not ready to, no way we are in a position to have kids. And then before I could finish my sentences, he started hitting me, like all on my right side, because he was on the passenger side and I was on 495 driving him to his interview. So luckily our exit was approaching, and he steady hit me. "You're going to stop taking them birth control pills," and cussing and, hitting me hard up and down my back. So I'm trying to lean forward because I don't want us to crash. I'm leaning over and I'm like, "Stop, stop hitting me, please. Somebody going to call the police." He's like, "I don't give a what, all this," and steady cussing. And so I finally got to his interview, dropped him off, and I had to go get gas, and I was just like crying. I was like, I got to get out this situation. I was like, "God, please help me out this situation. I don't know what to do. I don't have a escape plan yet," because the main reason why I stayed is because I didn't want him to retaliate and go to my salon and shoot up the place looking for me, or go to my house and, kill my parents looking for me, because I was going to leave the state. Like, I was going to go ahead and move to, I was going to go ahead with my plan and move to New York. So I didn't want that on my conscience. So, a couple, like a week and a half later, I asked him to meet me at my job. And, catch the subway. At the time I was working at the restaurant. I had 3 jobs. I was a hairstylist, a waitress, and a promotion and marketing director for local record label. So I was busy. I was always on the go, in and out the house. So this night I was at the restaurant, and he called and said, "I missed the train. Can you come pick me up?" So I started to say no. I wanted to say no, but my conscience was like, what if something happened to him? Then I would feel guilty. So I said yes, I would come. So by the time I got there, he had 2 of his friends with him. I didn't know about it. Apparently, I later found out that one of them had a gun, they had a gun. And as I was dropping him off, he said, "Watch out," my boyfriend said at the time, I'm not with him anymore. He said, "Watch out for that white SUV." So I'm looking, I'm like, all right, because this is one of his paranoid states, and, I'm not paying no attention to it, He said it so calmly, for me not to pay attention to it. So I looked in my rearview mirror, and they had turned like they was parking in the parking lot. So I was like, man, they're not worried about us. So at that time, I turned, I was on Suitland Road, going to Suitland, Silver Hill Road. So I was driving up the hill, gunshots start firing at my car. They totaled my car with gunshot. Like, it looked like a gangster scene. That's how damaged, because it was 3 different shell cases out. It was 3 different shell cases. So either it was 2 shooters or it was 3 shooters. So and then the bullet came through the windshield and entered my headrest before, entered my head. So, and him and his friends, so his friend got grazed by the bullet, but they walked away as I was being medevac to the next trauma hospital, and that was PG County. So, yeah. I thought you had a question.
No.
So then I spent, I was a 26-year-old infant. I couldn't sit or stand. I had to learn how to walk and talk all over again. They didn't know if I would make it dead or alive. The surgeons decided to leave the bullet in my head because it landed on a vein, and the fragments landed behind my left eye and forehead, so my eye was protruding out. And he was in my family and friends was in there, the waiting room, and the homicide detectives was lurking around, and he was there, and my mom didn't want him in there, so they had to escort him out. But they escorted him out, and he had to have a bulletproof vest on and surrounded, because they didn't know if my case was gang related or not. That's why my article, I Am Jane Doe, as you see.
Let me share that.
Wow.
Yes. That's why it's the title, because I was known as Jane Doe the whole 31. Well, not the whole 31 days, but the about 2 weeks and a half. I was labeled as Jane Doe. So I went through. Yeah, I have.
You look very pretty.
Thank you.
Yes,
You look
gorgeous.
very pretty. That's what we
gorgeous
said
now.
earlier.
Thank
You
you
don't have
very
to
much.
look like what you've been through.
Yeah.
If we look at you, we would not even know your story, what we're listening and talking about now.
Right.
Not at all. You're telling a lot of your survival story
Yes.
in this particular magazine.
Yes, Unashamed magazine. You can get it on Amazon.com. yes, I'm telling my abusive, the part where I was mainly being abused, and me getting shot, and how I overcame that, and how I overcame depression and migraines, because I was very suicidal. I was like 6 months after my accident, my stepfather passed away. We was very close, so that touched me deeply. That affected me deeply. So I had to have therapy. Like I was like, before he passed, I was like, no, I don't need therapy. I'm gonna overcome this. 'Cause, I had my momentum, so I was optimistic. Me and my mother, had a plan. Because she's my caretaker, so we had a plan. But after he passed away, it's just like our plan disappeared. We was lost. I was hurt. We was hurt. So, I overcame depression, suicidal. Every day from the bullet, I used to wake up with bad migraines every day or every other day. And then I came across these products called Total Life Changes, TLC, and they helped me. I didn't wake up. Well, I got the tea and the liquid vitamin, which is called the NutriBurst, and the ISOT. And after taking those products for like 3 weeks, I noticed that I didn't have any headaches. I wasn't feeling nauseous from the brain injury, because the brain injury made me very nauseous. I was very emotional sickness. My senses was very strong. I could smell like seasoning and green. Like I can't stand green peppers, so I could smell those. Yeah. So and these products helped me, and I gained my confidence back. I joined Brain Injury Services, and they had a speakers bureau, and I was determined to get my story out there, because I have a story, and my story is powerful.
Right. Yeah. I want to take the time, which we can do this. Go ahead.
I have a few minutes. I could stay.
Okay, well, because we want to be able to exchange your story, because we have her story. We got you.
Right.
But I want to do this. I want to put the number to our studio here, because someone out there may have a question.
Yes.
That they want to talk about or ask one of our panelists today. So the number is 240-719-2560. 240-719-2560. If you care to ask any questions of any of our ladies or us on the panel today, feel free to give us a call. Okay, and one more time, 240-719-2560. And we're speaking on domestic violence in the community and amongst our women today that are on the panel. Okay, so let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come right back, and we're going to continue with you.
Oh, before you go,
sure.
I'm a new co-author, Trails of a Triumphant Woman. Yes, thank you. I'm so proud of my chapter. Each one of us wrote about our painful and how we overcame. So, and breaking free forever, by this book.
Absolutely.
And you can purchase this book from me. Go to my Instagram, Survivor_LSJ.
Instagram,
Survivor_LSJ.
Look, we need you to come back, because
you have so much to offer. I mean, just your story, you haven't even touched the surface.
No, not yet.
We're dealing with time, and we had you come in, and I apologize that you had to sit and wait.
No problem.
But let's make a deal.
Okay.
You got to come back, because you have a truly awesome story that a lot of people need to hear.
Yes.
And we need to also talk about your book as well.
Yes.
So thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
And I'm willing to. I can't wait to hear your story.
Yes.
I
and we're
actually
gonna
wanted to say, do you want me to just yield my time so she can tell her?
No, we want you both. You have more that you want to share, I know, but how much time you have that you can yield to us left? I know you said
like 5 minutes.
5 more minutes?
Yeah. So
okay. So you good? Okay.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do, can we just take this quick break? We'll come back, we'll get to you, and then you'll be able to do what you need to do.
Okay. Sure.
Okay? Okay. So we'll be right back.
Forgiving me
We're back, and we're going to continue our conversation with our lovely Latoya Johnson.
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead. You can finish.
So, anybody have any questions?
Well, are you now no longer with this person, I'm
no.
sure, and you've
I
moved
have
on with your life?
Yes, I have
so
a new
tell
boo.
us about your new life.
Okay.
Yeah. And really, my question was, I wanted to kind of get a feel of the time frame. I mean, are we talking about 2 years ago, 5 years ago? How long? When did this happen?
The accident, the shooting?
Yeah.
2007. So
2007.
11. Well, I was in a relationship with him from 2005. Well, 2006 to 2007. It was going on 2 years.
Okay.
But yeah.
Doesn't take long.
And then, like the last 2 months, that's when he relapsed.
Wow.
And the abuse started.
Just turns like turn off, turn on.
See, it's
It was
something
like
about
a
the
flip.
drugs that
Right.
causes whatever this. It don't always have to be drug. Could be some other things, mentally
Right.
illness.
Yeah.
We know we're dealing with mental illness,
Right.
but there are some things that contribute to that. That is not your fault.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Right.
Or any of that, and sometimes
Right.
we blame ourselves. Like, what did we do? Why does me? And you know, the why me.
And I think that's the
question.
little girl in us, because
Yeah.
we always think that,
We can fix things.
It's our
right,
fault.
right. That's
Yeah.
true.
And I saw, my family and friends be, in domestic violence. And I was like, in domestic violence relationships, I was like, that'll never be me. Once he hit me, I'm gone. And then it was like, once that he hit me, I was like, no. I was like, okay, like, first I was like shocked and ashamed and like embarrassed and like I didn't want to tell. Like only my one friend, that my best friend knew, that helped me cover my wounds and come up with a story. She the only one that knew. And at the time, I wish that I would have told somebody. Like like still didn't nobody know about the abuse. Even when I was shot, like didn't nobody know. I didn't talk about it until. I joined Speakers Bureau. Well, no, until I joined Speakers Bureau. I talked about the shooting and, what I went through. And then I gradually came comfortable to talk about it. So, to tell my story. And then I'm not telling the whole story because I'm saving that for my own book.
All right.
Gotta save a little, gotta give a
Say a
little
little
piece.
bit, little bit,
Yes,
That's right.
Yeah, so,
Well-
and then in this book, I talk about mainly my shooting, and I want to educate our community on brain injuries because nobody, our community and rarely, it's not known about it because people can get in an accident and go to the hospital and they won't even give them a CAT scan. They'll just like check their vitals, they okay to send them home. But everybody that gets in an accident, mine was evident that I needed brains. I had a brain impact. But still, they'll send them home, and then like people go for like 2 weeks, 2 years, and then before they're diagnosed with a brain injury. So
Wow, you're giving us a lot today.
Yeah.
But you know what? They say you survived. You're a
Yes, I'm a
survivor.
survivor.
You
I'm
are
a-
a serious
a beautiful,
survivor and a
Beautiful,
thriver.
isn't it something?
Even in
Beautiful,
the
thank God.
even in the coma, like people was telling me I was fighting. Like I would hold the nurse's hand, like my facial expressions, and like when I opened my
weren't gonna
eyes,
give
I was a fighter. Like I didn't like I wasn't going to let this get me down.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, Latoya, unfortunately, I can relate a lot to your story. I don't know if you heard before you got in here, I talked about the 5 eyes, and that last eye is when it really changes. I was married to the pastor, so I was a pastor's wife in my doctoral program with my own PhD firm, and I too have brain trauma because, unfortunately, after the 6 years of marriage, I got a call from this person that he was having an affair with. And I just preached that Sunday, and 7 people gave their lives to Christ. So he was really upset already because
You
he
had
didn't want
empowered.
anything that was good to happen to me because he always beat me down. So what happened when I got off the phone, I did the one thing I'd never done before. I called him at his office. And I said, this is it. I can't take anymore. It's over. And he said, when I get home, you're going to get it. And he had never said it like that in our 6 years of marriage. I knew he was going to kill me that day. So I went downstairs and I took pain pills. He had recent hernia surgery. And I took all the bottle of pain pills, and there was applesauce in our refrigerator. And then, I don't know why, I went to, back then it was called People's Drug, not
Yeah,
CVS.
right.
I
Oh,
drove
yeah.
down Georgia Avenue. I didn't live far from Howard. Went there, and I said, can you give me some sleeping pills? And the lady said, sure. I got a whole bunch of sleeping pills. Went back home, crushed this concoction up, and the whole time I'm
With
beating
the-
the concoction.
with his pills?
His Percocet,
Oh.
the whole bottle, applesauce, and about 2 bottles worth of sleeping pills.
Wow, you was
because
serious.
I was determined he wasn't going to kick me down the steps with his Timberland boots no more. He wasn't going to knock me in the head anymore. He wasn't going to take me to another ER and explain to the doctors that I fell again.
Right.
And so I did that, and I OD'd. I tried to kill myself, and my mother came to me in the voice of an angel, and she said, baby, he's not worth it. My mother didn't even know that I was being abused because I never told anybody because I was so ashamed. And he came and he got me, took me to the ER. They said I had been out for at least 4 or 5 hours. I shouldn't even be alive. They asked me my name. I couldn't tell them my name. They asked me who was the president. It was Bill Clinton. Couldn't even tell them. They said, we understand you're a pastor and that you are a PhD student. And they said, your husband's telling us this. And they said, the one thing that this angel, and I never went back to thank her, but she's my angel. She said every time he came into the room, my vitals went up, like the heart monitor, because I was totally out, and they were intubating me and giving me the charcoal and all of this. So that angel said, sir, can you just step outside? And she leaned over and she said, what's happened to you? And I said, ma'am, he's been beating me. And I can't tell nobody because he's a pastor. The only number I could remember was my mother's number. And they gave me the phone, and I called my mom. I said, Mom, I'm in the ER. And she said, baby, what's wrong? I said, Mom, I tried to kill myself, and they just pumped my stomach. They said they're going to admit me because they admit you against your will to the psychiatric unit. I said, he's been beating me, Ma. And she screamed. She said, what hospital? And she came, and I was institutionalized for 5 days. Had to learn everything over again. Wow. And the therapist helped me understand it was never my fault. Wow. He told me I wasn't pretty, I wasn't smart, I was a size 4. He told me I was fat. He told me everything horrible about myself and that he would kill my mother and kill my family if I left him. And most importantly, the church would vote us out. And I couldn't go against God. So I stayed because of pride and because I was ashamed. So we have to be real about why we stay.
Right.
And until you admit why you're staying, you can't get free.
That's right.
There's
exactly.
one number I want everybody, because this is Facebook Live, so wherever you're listening around the country, I want you to call this number, 911, if you're in immediate danger. But the other number is 1-800-799-SAFE, SAFE. And that is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. They're trained counselors in over 300 languages that will patch you into advocates, the police, the legal team. I'm a legal advocate. I go with people to the courtrooms. I go speak to prisons because I want to talk to the perpetrators. I want them to tell me, why did you beat? Right. Because there are men who saw this, and that's all they know is what they saw. Right. And they think loving you means beating you because daddy beat mama. Right. And mama kept staying.
But that's not
but
love.
that's not love.
No,
so I want you to know, baby girl, it's not your fault.
Right.
That's not love.
That's never your
And
fault.
do know, when they do it the first time, plan your safety escape because there's going to be a second time.
Trust
And
me.
I've had so many friends and family and survivors and clients through my Nobody But God ministries where they said, Dr. Nee, I'm never going back. And they went back that one time too many, and I ended up burying them.
Yeah, I was ready to say.
And so I don't want you to end up in a casket because you love that man more than you love yourself.
Exactly.
I want you to think about your loved ones, your mother, your kids. Fight for them. Have the courage to fight for yourself.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Yes.
And the reason, another reason why I stayed is because I was trying to save my boyfriend at the time. I was trying to I felt sorry for him because he didn't have, his family, just turned their back on him, and he labeled him a no good, basically. And he didn't have anybody. I saw all he needed I saw his potential, and I saw all he needed was somebody to believe in him and to help him. But you can't help anybody that does not want to be saved. You cannot save. You cannot. You can lead the horse to the river, but you can't make him drink the water. So he's ready to drink it.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting here numb, literally, because I'm just proud of the fact that you ladies
Yes, opening
still
up,
here.
sharing.
sharing this.
Thank you.
Yes.
We can't waste God's blessing. God
right.
saved us for, you know,
For
we're here
a
for a
tell the
reason.
story.
That's
Yeah, for a
exactly
reason. Yeah.
right.
Right.
From misery to ministry.
Exactly.
That's right.
Right,
right.
exactly. And the moment that we feel as if we are totally like escaped it, we're not.
No.
Right.
We're not. And I believe right now, because you are telling someone they've been free,
Yes, I hope so.
you have freed someone, and we're here on this panel to discuss it. I thank God for you, Peggy, for allowing this platform
Thank
for
you.
us to discuss this,
Y'all guys
because
don't even know what you have done for me, because I think we all sit here and have one time or another
I've
experienced
experienced it.
You know, my experience was as a young person, and I'm talking about like 6, 7, 8, 9, you know, which I knew it had an impact on me. But I'm sitting here and hearing your story, and what I went through was nothing compared to what y'all guys have experienced. So I have to applaud y'all guys to say you've stepped up, you're open about it, because like I said, there were times I couldn't even talk about it. And although it impacted my mother, it impacted me as well.
Right.
And done more damage than probably to my mom.
Right.
You know, so guys, keep doing what you're doing, because we're here. We're here to support both of you.
Yes.
And we haven't even, I mean, this young lady here, I haven't even met. We just talked on the phone.
Wow.
So I never knew her story. I couldn't prepare myself for what you just shared with me just a moment ago. And I'm like, this is the beginning of something new. I got my other daughter here, Amina. Amina knows what this is all about. I applaud you for coming in and telling your story. This is a new cycle that we're going through. We must continue to tell the story,
Yes. And save
because you're
lives.
blessing someone else. You're saving someone else.
Yes.
Yes.
So
We're going to, again, tomorrow be at Busboys and Poets in Baltimore Avenue in Hyattsville, Maryland at 5 p.m. Part of our reason is this, to discuss this issue. We're going to have other ladies that's going to be speaking about this, and as well as panelists going to talk about different subject matters that's going to help our young people, even help us as adults,
yes.
to be able to be free and in areas, because a lot of our young ladies are suffering from not feeling, they have low self-esteem.
Low
self-esteem.
Yes.
Yes, they're suffering from that.
Yeah.
And so we have to let them know that they are worthy, that they are queens,
And
that they're loved,
Yeah.
yes, and that they have value, and that they must live and not die. They have so much to offer. You have talent, you have
Yes,
gifts.
yes.
God has given you so much. So we are going to, give them some information, depart into them some things. This is our mission for tomorrow. So again, if you know of anyone that want to be a part of our event tomorrow at Busboys and Poets, inbox us on Facebook. We'll send you the information, and we'll be able to give you what you may need to know about more of it. But we are on a mission. I really believe this is a beginning
Yes, it
of
is.
something
Yes.
that we need to do to save our
Yes.
children. I mean, we got to leave a legacy. We got to leave something, and our young people, this is our future. This is our
Yes.
generation.
That's
right.
And if they are not here to tell it, who's going to be here?
Yeah.
What the deal is the enemy wants to steal you so that you won't reproduce.
That's
Right.
right. And we've
He
got
tried
to
to kill
And we
Destroy.
got to
Destroy.
reproduce. We
Destroy.
are the
And it
kill,
has to
steal,
be
and destroy.
strong women
yes,
and
we
men.
have to.
Strong
We have to
women
be
and men.
strong
We
women
do.
and men.
That's
So
right.
I thank you. I know you
Thank
have
you.
to leave.
Yes.
We're
Thank you
going to
so
be in
much.
touch with you
Yes.
and have you
Thank
back. Right, Peggy?
Hey, done deal. Done deal.
I
I'll
have
be
a-
back anytime.
I have
Yes.
a question for you, Dr.
shall get
Unir,
your
before we
information.
come
You
back.
have a card in?
But we're going to
Yes.
take this break, and we'll be right back.
All right.
Hold on for a second.
We've been in the same space, right?
Okay, we had the woo signs, had commercial. I'm telling you, it's a lot.
Yes.
Ooh,
Heavy.
It's heavy, right?
Heavy.
It could be spiritually heavy.
Yes,
Emotionally
purposely
draining.
done
Yes.
this way. you
Yes.
know?
But
Yes.
spiritually uplifting too, because once you
Yeah.
get it out and you empower others to bring it out, so that's the most important thing to take away. To bring your story out, because there are many stories just like yours and worse.
And worse.
Just as you think it's yours the
Yeah.
worst, no, there's one worse, and you're still living to tell it.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. What I
Yes.
wanted to ask you, Unia, what do you think was going on with him to go from that extreme? Because you went into the hospital, you helped him. He sought you out.
Yes. And he even he had kidney failure, and there were some people like, don't marry someone who needs a kidney. You know, we were very young. I was 29, and I said I wouldn't want someone not to marry me if I were sick. And it wasn't until the 3rd year that he received his kidney. And when he received his kidney, I just thought that, okay, it's emotional, verbal, all that, but he'll never hit me. But then he had the strength to really start beating me. And so it got worse.
He beat you.
Yes.
To what degree?
He always, there was never a week that went by that he didn't beat me. Usually he used his Timberlands. They had steel toe. I didn't even know what that was called. To kick me down the steps and to break my ribs. The reason why he liked to break my ribs is because you can still function, and they'll just wrap you,
Yeah, and you're
but
sore.
nobody
Could
sees
see the
it.
wounds.
Yeah.
And you're right.
And the other thing that he continuously did is he would beat me up like the Saturday before I had to preach. So my mother said, you never wore so much makeup. I had to learn how to do the concealer and all that and get like the tinted glasses and still preach through it, go to school through it, because you're so busy protecting your man, and you're trying to hide. It's almost like you're in cahoots with that person because you love them and you want to pray it away, you want to have sex it away, whatever you got to do to make your man good, cook the best meal. You're always on eggshells because anything can drive them to just snap. And so he beat me every week. There was not a week after he started that he did not beat me. And another thing that he loved to do was he always used scriptures, and he said that I don't even want you eating at the table with me. I want you to eat on the floor. You need to be more submissive.
Oh my God.
And this is something I've never shared publicly. And I want to share this with you because it's in my book. The reason why he did that, he was so busy trying to make my self-esteem so low that I would quit school, even give up ministry, just do what he wanted, just stay home and cook his meals. And so he had me eat at his feet. My plate or whatever. But it was his way to just mentally degrade. And there are so many things. He knew what he was doing. And so men will do, and there are people who've been through worse things. I counsel people, their husbands have locked them up, who've chained them to their bed so they couldn't go to work, told their bosses they had the flu and they got fired. These guys will do anything and everything. Don't believe that what I went through, girl, you crazy, you went through that. I'm glad to be alive.
Yes.
And the reason why I got through it is because I kept fighting and I kept being persistent. One thing that I want you all to know, it did impact my health. I filed for divorce, and 7 months later, I was diagnosed with colon cancer, stage 4.
Wow.
And I believe to my
Stage 4.
heart that it was because of those beatings in my stomach and intestine. And the one thing that the oncologist said is when he went in me, my intestines were tangled up. When we hold stuff in, it processes in our body.
And that's a form of cancer.
And so to this day, right now, those of you looking at me, and Wyoming is a witness, I had oncology surgery in July. They told me I'd be gone within 2 months. I right now have my 3rd brain tumor.
Jesus.
I've been through a stroke with paralysis, and I'm still here. I don't look like what I've been through because I asked God, when he said, do this ministry, I said, God, if I go out and tell my story, nobody's going to ever book me to preach again. Nobody's going to ever respect me. I'm going to lose my job at Howard as a professor, my students and all that. He said, I don't want you to think that the earth won't respond. He said, I'm going to expand your territory. And the other thing that God said that really blessed me, he said, you don't have to tear him down to lift me up. And that's why I encourage everybody who shares their survivor story, because a lot of you have children still, you have to be cognizant of what you share. Because your children will one day watch the internet, they will grow up, and their teachers and their counselors will know this. You can't share your whole story. This is not for everybody. This is only for those of us who God has called, who has strengthened and equipped to have the assignment and the mantle of God to do this. But don't believe we don't get hate mail. I don't have people talk about me like a dog. I don't have people get jealous, whatever. But I don't worry about them because it's not, it's my story for his glory, nobody else. And so this is not for everybody. Have a safety plan. Call and get help. When you try to leave is when you usually don't make it the most. Because if they know you're going to leave, they're going to do anything within their power, including shoot you in the head, like we just heard, to make you stay. Because it's not about love, it's power and control. And so when he had me sit on the floor to eat, that was him being in control. He wanted me to be submissive like a slave was to a master. And he used the scriptures and he would turn them on me. So I didn't know what else. I mean, I'm on the floor and I'm like, okay, that's wrong. I wouldn't want my girls to know this, but I'm still thinking I'm being submissive to my husband.
Wow.
But I've got a second book coming out, which will tell you all the rest of the story, including how God has allowed me to go through all these health challenges, almost dead 4 times. And I only believe God is keeping me here to save lives.
For a reason.
It's not for me, because Lord knows I hate chemo, I hate being sick, I hate all of this. But God says, Psalm 118:17, I shall live and not die and declare the works of the Lord.
That's right.
So it's not my life to live, it's his. And when he's ready.
And you came today because you're going to call.
Yes.
You couldn't have got all this on a call.
I'm
so happy.
This is my first time doing an interview since my oncology surgery in July. And when she called me, I said, girl, I'm going to have to do it on the phone because I can't sit up long. I can't do it because I'm still on chemo and all that. And then the Lord immediately said, email her back and said you'll be there. And that was me pushing through. Sometimes you got to press your way.
That's true.
Because if I had been on the phone, you wouldn't have gotten this. So I had to push. And I wouldn't have had a chance to meet you and LaToya. I would have missed this. I needed this because I need love right now. And I need prayers right now. Because this has been hard.
Oh
this
my
has
God.
been hard.
I'm telling
This has been hard.
you, we have got to stop downing each other because somebody is going through something worse off than you. You never know. The love that you give people will help them.
Cancer is no joke.
It's
strokes and all that. That's why you can't hold stuff in because it'll come out one way or another.
And that is that is true.
That is true.
That is
it's
very
a
true
from health and wellness.
From medical perspective. Medically, they will tell you.
They will tell you.
Women who have suffered from cancer, they ask them first.
Post-traumatic stress.
They ask them, have you ever been in a domestic violence situation? Because a lot of that, and that's what we talk about in our production as well. The domestic violence is like cancer.
It is.
It can eat you and destroy
inside
you
out.
on your
inside out.
And you can cause so much from trauma, from someone who beat you, who have destroyed you.
Every week.
Wow.
So with Timberland, I didn't even know what steel toe was. The doctor had to explain what that was because I didn't know what the outside of it. We be with the construction boots. A size 4.
It's amazing.
I shouldn't be alive.
You really?
No.
Only God.
And I kept ministering through it. I refused to drop out. I graduated top of my class and spoke, ladies. So you know you can keep persevering. The devil was a liar. I was not going to give up that one thing because that was the one thing for me. It was I wanted to teach. I love teaching. And I wasn't going to give up teaching students. So I didn't quit.
Smiling through it all.
Oh, my goodness.
Persevering through it all.
Absolutely.
Peggy, you got it.
She is an advocate. I can't say no more than that. This woman has made her rounds within the DMV and probably everywhere else to support women that are dealing with domestic violence. Amina, share with us your project, your baby, that you're so close and so dear.
Well, first of all, thank you all for having me. What I call her Mom Peggy. What she's referring to is Love by the Handles. I am a founder, executive director of Love by the Handles. It is an organization that deals with homelessness, domestic violence victims, and at-risk youth. And we are based, and we have a lot of work that we started initially in D.C., but starting to move into Prince George's County and some in Virginia, but predominantly D.C. and Prince George's County, and also really working closely right now with the town of Bladensburg and being able to support them in their homelessness and domestic violence and the at-risk youth issues, but more so domestic violence and at-risk youth, and really being involved with them from the youth perspective because of gang violence and different things, especially with our young girls, and being controlled and manipulated with that. And we can't lose sight of, we know that 1 in 4 women are domestically abused, but we know men are as well, and our teens. And so these are things that sometimes we lose sight of those 2 other groups, and that they are suffering just as much as teenagers. And sometimes we don't realize that when we are not able to be effective in a young person's life, then they have these stories as an adult, because they have not been able to deal with their own things and identify that they was in an unhealthy relationship at 14. And so now they're 24, and that cycle has gone on, if we're going to be real, for 10 years. So now they go from 14 to 24, and now they're 44. Okay? And so these are things.
Doubled, tripled.
And then that 14-year-old was never talked to or identified with that was an unhealthy relationship, but her mom was in it, or her dad was maybe abused by the mom. Like, there's so many different components that we don't know that these young people are going through. And so that's the basis of where Love by the Handles started and is, and ended up being more so like the face of domestic violence, but really dealing with homelessness and our youth, and unfortunately all still under the umbrella of unhealthy relationships. And one thing I do want to just say, to stay on lines of what you were talking about, is that one of the things a lot of times when we deal with domestic violence, we don't realize that the physical so many times is the last component.
Exactly.
And what you were mentioning, and you said it so clearly, but I don't know how many people really start to hear. All of the other components of the domestic violence, the domestic came before the violence.
Exactly.
So the domestic part is the mental, is the verbal, dealing with your self-esteem, is the financial, is the spiritual, can also be the sexual. Why is it domestic and then violence? We don't tap on what is that part to cause us to get to the violence. Because there's things that have happened in the non-physical aspect of the domestic that the violence is, well, she let me talk to her any kind of way. Oh, I was able to manipulate the mind. I was able to control. I was able to tell her that you work every day, but my finances is better than yours. I'm going to give you domestic, then the violence.
So unwilling sex, even in a marriage, is still considered could be rape?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Unconsented. Because their pleasure, because you're not getting the pleasure of the pleasing,
but it's
they
also
You're
the
being
mental.
raped. It's
But the
mental.
mental. Wow.
Because when you define, and that's the thing where I started to really see that when we talk about your purpose, and me being in domestic violence or the face of it, it's so many things that we just we're not aware of connects it. So even that you could be married, you could be in a committed relationship, and really the word no is no. But then it makes you think in your mind, well, he wants me to do this, or this is my husband, or this is that.
You're never supposed to deny your husband.
And then so it's
That's
so
what
many.
we are, yes.
It's so many.
That's biblical.
Right.
That you're never supposed to deny your
Who wrote
husband.
this book? Did you write this? No, I'm just kidding.
But it's so many, because you're dealing with people that may not even be married. So we have to deal with the reality of the matter is people that, yes, we know the word, people know the word of God, but they're still in some people, but they're still in relationships that they're not married, but the mental aspect is your body is my body.
Well, see, you even get to the altar and they say, for better, for worse, for sickness or unhealth, to death do you part. Some of y'all don't make it out alive.
Well, the other part to that is this. Our story is similar from the standpoint of the non-physical of I'm just going to submit. I'm just going to do what I'm supposed to do. And to death do us part. Right. But the big part about it is, for me, when you talk about the health aspect, it was going to be to my death that did us part. So am I to stay? Preacher, minister? Is the death to my part is out of my expense that I'm going to die? So the big question for me was, no, I do choose life and life more abundantly for me and my purpose driven, that I was that person that because of the non-physical, I almost died with stress. I had skin cancer that's very rare in African American women. I was 28 when I had skin cancer. I got married at 17. So when I am into this lie of me not dealing with some things even in my marriage, was the sickness to my death because I acquiesced and I was quiet and I didn't talk and I didn't think anybody would believe me? Domestic, then the violence. I lived this lie and I didn't have anybody to talk to, so I thought, because my friends was his friends. And so before I knew it, the stress of not breaking the silence of being silent almost killed me because of anxiety. And not realizing, and I wasn't in an environment that I was really able to talk to and have the knowledge that, oh my gosh, I am self-inflicting my own wounds. That might have turned into the cancer, that might have caused the anxiety attack. So yes, when I decided to finally leave and that this wasn't healthy for me, very again similar, I'm in the paramedics at church. Had an anxiety attack that took my pressure to like 74 over 34, 79 over 39. It was something like that. It was now 10 years ago. But I remember the paramedics asking me at that time, well, who is this person outside? Do you want him to come in? At that point, that was my reality. She said, what you had was an anxiety attack. What has you so stressed that you're not talking about that almost killed you? Tears are rolling down my eyes. Because for me, at that point in my life and in our relationship, I wasn't being violent, wasn't getting there. But I went through all that domestic. So because I didn't have the physical scar, who would believe me?
Right, exactly.
Who would believe me that I didn't even know I was a domestic violence victim. But who would believe that what I was experiencing was real to cause me to now be so sick?
And this is why we have to also say that the domestic part doesn't always mean because you're not getting beat.
Absolutely.
That you're not in an abusive relationship.
Say that again.
Yeah,
but
because you're in domestic and you're not being beaten does not mean you're in an abusive relationship. Because all the other signs that you just mentioned, financial, financial really? Yes, because that could become so stressful in a relationship domestically.
Yes.
Oh, sex, I can't. Yes, that could become so stressful domestically.
But why do you think the Me Too movement is so where it is now? Because so many of the Me Too individuals that have come
Sexual
out is
assault.
because it's been sexual, but because they didn't label it as a domestic piece.
And
now it's like, well, where has this been coming? It's been happening
and
forever.
for years, for a long time. And that's why women have to continue because it's their career.
What did you say for it? Deals with the financial.
Yes.
So let's put it all together.
Yes. The image,
interlude,
image that they had to deal with. They were told and threatened, if you do this, we're not going to use you. So now you want to continue to stay because you got to work.
Absolutely. And then let's not have no children. So now if you have children, that adds another dynamic of you staying.
That's because we got to stay for the children.
Right.
We got we don't want them to know what's
And
going
in the
on.
meantime, the children are suppressing the same thing.
Same thing.
They're
Yes.
suppressing because I went to see Nikki Giovanni last week, and she's now having seizures because of what she saw as a child years later of her father beating her mother every weekend.
Wow.
And she's having seizures now because she told the doctor, I was suppressing, and now it's coming out. And her latest book is about crying. She's finally starting to cry.
And that's why I really get, through maturity, with age as well as spiritual maturity, I find it fascinating sometimes when people want to judge why someone now, 20 years later, have decided to talk.
To come out.
Because now you've decided to get to the point that you can now really realize what is happening and what has happened to you. So I don't care if it's 2 days, 20 years, when your healing comes, that's when your healing comes for you to be able to talk.
Everybody's healing is not going to come at the time.
You have to have that confidence just to release it and to relax. That's just a proof that you've already released it.
And that's where the freedom comes.
Freedom,
we're going to talk
You've
about the Word of
released
God.
it.
The Bible says that the truth will set you free.
Yes, it
but what
will.
is that freedom? That freedom is when you're now true to yourself to say, oh my God, I really dealt with I was really in an issue. I was really in a situation. Could have been really no fault of my own, but since I've really decided to be true, to let my guard down, to know that this is a real issue, now the healing comes. It doesn't just come mentally, but now it's coming physically.
Exactly.
And some things are being exposed. It's not to your death, but it's some things that's being exposed in your health that has caused you to be so sick for these last couple of years.
Well, this time has been so well and so needed to be spent today. We just want to say that we want to continue to encourage you ladies that you are special. You are worthy. You are a queen. You are a queen, ladies. And so we are going to continue to spread this message. We're going to continue to talk about it. I'm going to give it right now.
The
1-800-799-7233. 1-800-799-7233. We will be here next week. We're going to be talking about our health and wellness segment on next week. So stay tuned. On next week, we'll be here with some more other special guests. Thank you all so much for coming. Appreciate you so much. And we will let you know, as always, it's time for you to walk in your purpose and prosperity. Until next week, continue to be blessed. Let's rock it out. Woo!